What's up, guys? It's Chris Sarah bringing another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to have a little I told you so when we talk about General Motors and Hyundai as they start to build cars together. Next up, we're going to talk about a new law out in Louisiana that is going to put people at risk of either paying a fine or going to jail if they drive 1 mile per hour under the speed limit. And last but not least, we're going to check out a story out in Florida where an Army sergeant has shot 5 of his co-workers. And we're going to just try to see if we can get enough information that we can get an idea of what was going on. So let's jump straight into it. So starting off, we're going to talk about this story about General Motors and Hyundai where they are starting to work together to build vehicles. And for me, it's of course what I said, I told you so moment. I've been saying this for a long time that the big three are going to have to start to divulge in, secret sharing or, partnershiping with other companies that are already moved further ahead when it comes to EV vehicles. And that is definitely Hyundai and Kia. They've definitely moved ahead of the curve when it comes to EV vehicles. Their Ioniqs are big sellers right now. So we're going to check out this story real quickly because, of course, it is California and it is a beautiful day. Alright, so go ahead over to MSN for this. General Motors, Hyundai to develop 5 new vehicles. This is a story by Catherine Hamilton about 2 hours ago. Alright, General Motors and Hyundai Motor will co-develop 5 vehicles in the Americas as part of their existing partnership. The car makers will make 4 automobiles for the South and Central American markets, including a compact SUV, a car, and a pickup, and mid-size pickup truck. They will also develop an electric van for North America. We talked about that before. The vehicles for Latin American markets are set to launch in 2028, and the electric van will be manufactured in the U.S. as early as 2028, the company says. GM and Hyundai expect to sell more than 800,000 of new vehicles each year once production is fully scaled. GM will lead the development of the mid-size truck, while Hyundai will head the compact car and electric van. Alright, so real quick, sweet story about me just going ahead and saying, I told y'all so. I told y'all that this is imminent. This is one of those things that's just going to have to happen, specifically for the big three. They just have fallen so far behind China, Japan, Korea in the development of their vehicles. So, to keep themselves abreast of the latest technologies, keep themselves building vehicles that people are going to want because they have the latest technologies in them, they're going to have to branch out and shake hands with people over in Korea and China and other places. And what I would think would be a better move would be to start reaching out here in America, because there are several, the Derek Baileys of the world, where they're building and trying to construct electric EV vehicles, EV batteries, mobile EV batteries. The Americas, the United States of Americas, does have a lot of people here that you can go to try to help your company build up when it comes to EVs. But now, mind you, I understand all these other companies already have these things in effect. They've already built these things and they've already got these things on the road and they're moving forward. And you're behind, so you just got to jump on the bandwagon. And the hope is that you don't lose everything doing so, because this is pretty much kind of how y'all got to become a place that's owned by a company called Stellantis. Reaching out, trying to get people to help you with your problems, and in the end, they end up taking y'all over. So let's just hope that General Motors can avoid that, because, a partnership is not only necessary, but it will definitely help them out, because Hyundai is definitely one of those places that has the EV market lined up. I'm telling you, the Hyundai Ioniq models, several Hyundai Ioniq models, the cars, the vans. There's a lot of Hyundai Ioniqs, and these EV vehicles are selling greatly. So GM just got to jump on the bandwagon and start producing EV vehicles that people are going to buy and drive. And the only way they can really do that is to reach out to other people and get help. And of course, it's still going to take them some time. It's going to take them some money. This partnership is heavy on the putting in from General Motors, and more heavy for Hyundai to bring in the technologies that General Motors needs. You know what I'm saying? It's a situation where General Motors has the money and Hyundai has the technology. So what happens in that situation? If you have something that somebody needs to buy from you, you're in the right position. So GM definitely doesn't want to be in a position where they're beholden to Hyundai, but they got to do what they got to do to save face and to move forward when it comes to this auto market. All right, so quick story. Let's jump up out of there and check out this new rule over in Louisiana. And it's a crazy rule. And for me, it's just another one of those situations where, you know, their legislature over there is trying to make money off of people not driving all the way correctly all the time. And, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like speeding tickets, how they are, and parking tickets. I got a crazy parking ticket the other day because, matter of fact, I got two of them. It's a long story. But I got a crazy parking ticket the other day that said that I wasn't, 15 inches from a fire hydrant. I'm telling y'all, I was far from that fire hydrant. I'm fighting that all day long. But you better hope that these people who are caught driving 1 mile per hour below the speed limit over in Louisiana are prepared to fight that too. Let's check it out.
Slowly in the overtaking lane when you're on the highway. It's one of the most infuriating things there. There are 3 lanes, if not more, for a reason, and you only go into the one that is on the far left in case you need to overtake. That is what it is for, and if you're going underneath the speed limit when you're in that lane, it's just downright dangerous and very, very annoying. But if you're in Louisiana as of August 1st, this is already come into effect as I record this video, you could well be punished for it. If you get caught going 1 mile per hour underneath the speed limit in that state, in the overtaking lane, you could well get a fine for that. So let's have a look at this change, guys. Let's have a look at what's altering here on the channel as always, and whether I think this is the correct move from the state, and whether it should be rolled out nationwide, because I'm pretty sure people will be absolutely of the opinion that people that go too slowly in these lanes are very much a hazard and are very, very annoying. Louisiana is absolutely tightening things up right now when it comes to their driving. They are tightening the rules around mobile phone usage while you're driving, left lane driving, window tinting, and insurance requirements as well. When it comes to cell phones, you are no longer permitted to hold or use a phone by hand while driving, including texting, social media, and manually scrolling maps, which if you're doing that thing while you are driving, come on man, what are you doing? What are you playing at? That's just downright dangerous. The only exception to this is if the vehicle is stopped in a safe place, or you are able to go hands-free when it comes to these decisions, or if you're able to use hands-free features on your phone such as voice control. That's all fine, you just can't use your hands. But let's get back to the topic at hand. What about that left lane driving, the overtaking lane? If you're going too slowly in that, what is going to happen to you? Well, if you are found going below the speed limit in the far left lane in a highway in Louisiana, you will be fined $150 for your first offence. And that will increase by $100 for every subsequent offence. So if you do it 2 times, it'll be $250. If you do it 3 times, it'll be $350, etc. And if you are a repeat offender, you are at risk of a jail sentence. You can get up to 30 days in jail for this offence if you are a repeat offender. Previously, you had to be going 10 miles underneath the speed Previously, you had to be going 10 miles an hour underneath the speed limit to be caught foul of this law, but now it's just 1 mile per hour. So, if the highway is 70 miles an hour, if you're doing 69 miles an hour, that is very much not nice. You will be in trouble if you're in that left-hand lane and you're trying to overtake. Every state has their own laws when it comes to driving. Louisiana is no exception to that. Just to give a quick mention as well to the window tinting rule that I mentioned before. The legal limit for window tinting on the front side windows will decrease from 40 to 25%. When it comes to the light transmission passing through those windows. So if you're above 25% currently, you need to get that checked out and remedied as soon as possible because it is actually illegal from this point. For reference, this is the same limits as Texas and Arkansas, which are next door. But when it comes to insurance, things are changing big time as well. This is being called the no pay, no play insurance law in Louisiana. Drivers who now get into a crash and do not have insurance will be blocked from collecting up to $100,000 in damages, whether they are at fault for the accident or not. Effectively, it's meant to encourage more people to get insurance on their vehicles. So effectively, if you don't have insurance in Louisiana for your car and you're involved in an accident, even if you're not to blame, even if you're a complete innocent victim in that, you could be blocked from getting those damages payments paid to you. But yeah, guys, there we go. Big changes in the state of Louisiana. Some of them we've already covered before, but some of them I wasn't aware of, and they are all in effect as of August 1st. So as I record this on the 4th, they are in place. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below on these. Is this a reasonable change when it comes to the laws? Is it going too far? I want to hear what you have to say either way. Like, share, comment, subscribe, as always, and have a great day around the world today, guys. See you very soon.
Wow, I didn't know. Okay, he hit us with a couple of new laws over there, and I understand that law definitely. I spent a lot of time in Arkansas,
I'm just
so I
going to
know
look
that in
at the
Arkansas
performance car
that
market.
they
I
do
can't expand
have the
into
law
everything that
where
EV.
they have the law where in the far left lane that you have to be going over 75 miles per hour, and I know they have that law, and I watch a lot of live PD or OPL, so I've watched them pull several people over because they were going, less than 75 miles per hour in the far left lane. So I know that's a pretty common law in some states, depending on what kind of highways they have. If they have big highways, 3-lane highways, and situations like that, it makes total sense. To get caught driving 1 mile per hour under the speed limit and to get in trouble for that, it seems still a little bit crazy. I can understand 10 miles per hour, maybe even 5 miles per hour, but if they're going to pull you over and really honestly give you a ticket for 1 mile per hour under the speed limit, that's just, truly think it's just a scare tactic. I don't really think they're going to honor that to any degree, because there's so many factors that could go into saying why their system shows that you're 1 mile less than the speed limit and their system shows that they aren't. Tire size, if the vehicle's driving correctly, there's all types of things that could cause a police officer to be under the impression that you're going slower than you are. So I would definitely like to think that there's going to be a lot of leeway when it comes to these laws and what happens to you, because it's so. I think it would be so easy for you to not, especially for an old lady. I deal with a lot of old people, a lot of senior citizens that drive, and I definitely see this affecting them because they, and I talked about this a couple episodes ago, but I do see this affecting a lot of people who say don't drive a lot, are senior citizens, and they have learned to drive a certain way. That's how they're always going to learn. So I do see that they might get pulled over a lot in this type of situation. So I would just hope that there's a decent amount of leeway when it comes to these situations, and what tickets you give these people and what kind of time, because I really honestly don't see people getting to the point where they would get so many of these fines or tickets to the point where they would go to jail. I just don't see it. I think it would deter them to the point where they would just completely and utterly stop driving in the far left lane, and that would be the best decision altogether. Okay, that would be the best thing. That for me, that is the concrete thing for this situation, is that even the statement of it is going to deter some people who might have driven in the far left lane and driven at a speed that was less than what was required, and they just did it and they didn't really care. It's just going to force those people to move over to the other lanes and drive how they standardly drive, and it's going to be okay. All right, so last but not least, we're going to talk about a situation that happened over in Florida. No, in in Georgia. In Georgia, where a Army sergeant shot 5 soldiers. Let's check this out.
An active duty soldier was arrested in Georgia after officials say he opened fire on co-workers at a busy Army post. Good evening, I'm Steve Eager.
I'm Heather Hayes. 5 soldiers were wounded in that shooting this morning at Fort Stewart, more than 230 miles southeast of Atlanta. The commanding general saying the number could have been a lot higher had bystanders not intervened and helped tackle that gunman. Fox 4's Casey Stiegel live in our newsroom tonight with the latest. Casey.
Yes, Steve, Heather, good evening. Military officials say that the active duty soldier used his own handgun to shoot 5 of his fellow troops today. Everyone is expected to survive, although 3 of the wounded did have to undergo surgery. Now, Fort Stewart is the U.S. Army's largest installation east of the Mississippi River, located, in fact, about 41 miles southwest or so of Savannah, and is home to the 3rd Infantry Division. The post's commanding general says just before 11 Eastern time today, 28-year-old Sergeant Cornelius Radford opened fire on some of his co-workers. Sergeant Radford was assigned to a sustainment unit providing logistical support to the 2nd Brigade combat team. But officials say it is still too early to know whether that contributed to the motive, potentially a work beef. Fort Stewart was put into lockdown as first responders tried to ascertain what was happening. Listen here to the radio transmissions in those frantic moments between dispatchers.
Request for a gunshot wound on Fort Stewart. It'll be building 8420 2nd Brigade, 8420 2nd Brigade, gunshot wound, Detroit. 10 for Rescue 3. There's possibly 5 patients. They have both of their EMS trucks on scene. The scene is clear. Everything is secure. We don't know who has what.
So tonight, authorities are trying to dig up what they can on the 28-year-old accused gunman. He was interviewed earlier today by Army investigators and is currently being held until the military decides what he will be charged with. His record with the U.S. Army pretty clean, say his commanders. Documents do show that Radford was arrested back in May for driving under the influence in Liberty County, Georgia. We'll keep you posted. Steve, Heather.
All right, Casey Stiegel in the newsroom. Thank you.
Let's see if we can hit one more place and get a little bit more information.
Before 11 o'clock, an active duty soldier assigned to Fort Stewart, Georgia, shot and wounded 5 of his fellow soldiers here on Fort Stewart. Thankfully, all are in stable condition and all are expected to recover. The alleged shooter is in custody. We have reestablished security. I have lifted all lockdown measures on Fort Stewart, and there is currently no threat to the local community. Our wounded soldiers were initially evacuated to Wynn Army Community Hospital right here on Fort Stewart. All arrived in stable condition, and 3 of the 5 required surgical intervention. 2 have been transported to Memorial Hospital in Savannah, Georgia for additional care. We have identified the alleged shooter as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, an automated logistics sergeant assigned to 2nd Brigade combat team. Sergeant Radford has not previously deployed to combat. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel. I would also like to thank the brave soldiers who immediately intervened and subdued the shooter. These soldiers, without a doubt, prevented further casualties. And what we know is this soldier, the shooting occurred at the soldier's place of work. It did involve his co-workers. We're still not certain about the motivations, but again, he's been interviewed by Army investigators. But I know that his soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately and without hesitation tackled the soldier, subdued him, that allowed law enforcement to then take him into custody.
All right, so Cornelius Radford is the gentleman in question.
Now we have this just into the newsroom. Seattle.
And, of course, we just don't have enough information. Let's be frank about that. We can't say anything and just pray for the people that were injured in this incident and hope that, you know, there's a quick resolution for the young man. It didn't look crazy, didn't look off kilter. The picture that they took of him seemed normal, and the only true information we have about him was that he had a clean record, and he was arrested not too long ago for drinking. Now, even if he was drunk, do I think that he would have shot 5 people? No. So this is just one of those situations where it's just really hard to dive into it. But what I will say is that, you know, we've seen a lot of crazy lately. We've seen a lot of incidents like this. We've seen a lot of shootings and a lot of people killing other people, and it's getting quite upsetting, because we just don't know why. Are we having a problem with the mental stability of a lot of people these days? Are the foods causing us to be psychotic and crazy? Or are the medications? I know a friend of mine who is on one of those psychotic medications, and she ended up beating up her boyfriend. And of course, she blamed it on the medications, said she had to get off those medications. I don't understand why all of these people are deciding that they're going to take guns and start shooting other people up. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that, you know, it wasn't happening back in the day, because the reason that we know about these things now is because of the media is really starting to bring these stories forward. You know, the internet is bringing other stories that we standardly wouldn't see to our faces. So we're getting a lot more information about these types of things. And I even added to the point where all of the plane crashes, I think the fact that you can't even really say that there wasn't a lot of plane crashes back in the day. It was just not a lot of coverage for when plane crashes happen. And we're dealing with a lot of, you know, there's been, a shooting almost every month? And, you know, the situations where we talk about the school shootings and, you know, situations where students are, you know, deciding that they're going to kill their parents. There was a story the other day about a young man killing his parents and you know, going to his nearby church and calling 911, and then a friend of his saying that he's not a bad guy. Then what is he? Then what's going on with him? There's a demon in that child, and it's probably a demon in Cornelius as well. And we have to realize that we do understand that evil exists in this world. That's one thing we can say pretty much for sure, that there is evil in this world and people do evil things, and we don't understand it, but we have to understand that we have to watch out for the demon element of the world that is, you know, it has to be coursing over us. I can't understand it. Taking other people's lives, shooting random people. In this situation, they're saying these people are fairly random, not co-workers of his, or are they co-workers? It's a lot of information that we don't have, but there's still 5 people that have been shot by this gentleman, and we don't know why. Now, maybe could there be a good reason for Cornelius to shoot 5 people? Can you think of one? I could, if there was a situation where, you know, infidelity was involved with a girlfriend or something, I could see it shooting 1 person, maybe 2. But he shot 5 people, and it seems like they were 5 random people. Who can explain that? Who could tell us why, with good reason or good motivation, that Cornelius decided to make this happen? Nobody can. That's kind of how we know it's demonic stuff. But what can we do? We just got to keep a mindful eye of the world, because these 5 people didn't think they were going to get shot that day. This could happen to anybody, anywhere. I live right by an Army base. Army bases all over the place. But it's not just Army people. We're talking about people in the world. Everybody And to some degree or form, some black people, younger black people, in the case of the child that shot his parents, it's starting to be a crazy epidemic of dealing with people dying and us not honestly really knowing why. So, be mindful, people. Watch yourselves. Now, you can't even really control this. I'm pretty sure those people didn't know they were going to get shot that day. And I don't even know if I could sit here and say there was a way for them to avoid getting shot. But you just got to be your best to stay mindful, keep your peripherals going, and stay out of the way. Stay out of places where this might happen. This is not really one of those places, but, just try to be safe. All right, guys, I'm going to let y'all go and get up out of here. I am your boy, Chris Surratt. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Car Concierge Show. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.